Done.
Wonderful. Okay, thanks. All right, so moving back over here, why is it important to use social media etiquette? Murphy, do you remember what we talked about in the previous session?
Yeah.
Okay, why is it important to use social media etiquette?
To present a good image.
Yeah, to present a good image, because that is your first impression, right? For many people, or it really impacts how people see you and what you're willing to put out publicly on a social media platform, because social media platforms are really an extension of ourselves and where our lives are, a portion of our lives are. All right, we have somebody in the chat here. Wonderful.
We just have 2 new people who joined us. Just want to let you know.
Okay, wonderful. Well, hello, thank you for joining. So a social media etiquette is really important for making sure we're being polite, right? You wouldn't go in when you're in public in a face-to-face situation and just start screaming profanity, right? That's not being polite. Same rules apply in social media, but in a different way, because we aren't able to give facial expressions. We're not able to give body language. So it's even more important to make sure that the impact we're having on our audience, on our social media posts, are really landing where we need them to land and where we intend for them to land. And we're thinking of all of our audiences, right? Not just our intended audience, but ones that we might not have in mind right away. Like in the previous webinar, Murphy, you remember, we had some very high profile people who their intent with their social media posts may have been humor, but it didn't land that way with their audience, right? So we need to be really conscious of that, especially with LinkedIn. So if we think about, just before we dive into a review, why is this triangle so important, right? What is our platform? Platform is the social media tool that we're using. Today we're going to focus on LinkedIn, but yes, last week we talked about Instagram, we talked about Twitter, we talked about Facebook, and how those platforms are unique, and they have different ways that you can interact with those platforms. So someone who is really highly skilled in using a platform, they kind of set the environment for what that platform is for. People who aren't as skilled on that platform, you can tell right away, right? You can see like they're maybe putting something in a Twitter post that maybe they were intending to Google or they were intending to search, but they didn't understand that they were going to actually be posting this publicly. Or maybe people follow something on Facebook that they didn't know was going to be publicly shared with their friend group, right? When you follow something on Facebook, your friends can see what you follow, right? Some people might not know that. So let's move on then to the bottom right-hand corner of that triangle, purpose. Of the purpose of a social media post, you have to be very conscious of this. And as younger generations grow up with social media, it might be more intuitive, might be more of an instinct of, well, this purpose is for this. But we really need to make sure we're being more conscious and kind of slow down our decision-making process when we're posting something to social media. Because as we all know, everything is forever on the internet, right? We can do time machine warps back in time to see what a social media platform was doing 2 weeks ago when someone may have deleted it. Or we know people take screenshots, right? So making sure that we're very conscious before we post is really important to our purpose, especially when it comes to a platform like LinkedIn, as we'll get to. All right, audience. Audience we talked about too. What is the audience of all of those platforms? Facebook, it's a little bit more of like family and friends, right? You're not expecting your work colleagues to be friends with you on Facebook, or maybe you are, but then doesn't that make it a little different in how you post to Facebook if you know you're friends with your boss, right? On Facebook, that makes it a very different feel. In terms of audience for platforms like Instagram, that audience is more concerned with how things look, the aesthetics, if you've heard that big word before, of how something looks, how it is framed, how your photography skills can be showcased on Instagram more than they are on Facebook, right? Also, Instagram only allows you to post so many photos at once. That is a really big tool in how you choose which photos you post, right? You don't post all of the ones you have. You might be able to do that on Facebook and you might do that there, but Instagram, you have to be much more specific in which photos you choose, and you take more time putting different filters on that photo, right? You take a lot more time with the photo aspect than you do with the description, where you might say like, no one's really gonna read the description, but they're gonna look at the photo, right? So all of these things go into making a good social media choice when it comes to etiquette, right? These are things we do all the time in our normal day-to-day world, but putting it into social media context takes a little more thought. Okay, so let's move on. Review. So here were the groundwork that Dr. Laverick posted for you guys of what is good social media etiquette. Step one, know your audience. Who is following this? Who is going to see this? Even if you think it's only going to be for your friend group, there is an algorithm who is trying to share your stuff much more broadly, right? And this might be something that you can turn off with a privacy setting, but maybe you don't have that privacy setting. Maybe you aren't as highly skilled in that platform, right? Step two, be nice. If you weren't going to say this to someone in public in a face-to-face setting, maybe don't say that, or maybe rephrase it in such a way that will land better with your audience. Okay, step three, tell the truth. This is such a big thing that we're seeing too in today's world, right? It's so important to tell the truth and not spread misinformation. So we're not trying to just kind of, you see something and you repost it very quickly without doing some fact finding yourself. Is it actually true, right? We have seen this come back on people like politicians often, right? Where they said, actually, that's not true. And you just reposted that because it would land with part of your audience, right? But that is spreading misinformation and creating a culture within your audience that isn't something that is truthful or honest, right? And this doesn't always just happen to politicians. This could happen to your parents, right? This could happen to your sibling of they repost something and oops, not true, right? So it's so important to do some fact finding yourself, of doing some digging, check your sources, make sure that you're sharing sources that are legitimate and did fact finding. All right, step four, censor yourself. What does the word censor mean? It's a really big, difficult word. Could I have you guys put in the chat, what does censor mean? Or if you want to unmute yourself too, that's fine. I see we have a few more people who joined. Watered down. Okay, interesting. Watered down. Thank you, Murphy. I'm going to wait just a few more seconds to see if you guys want to put in the chat there. What does censor mean? And I know some people are on mobile phones, so it takes a little bit longer. Responsible. Okay. Yeah, those are great words to describe censor. Censor is something where you're kind of doing a check, right? You're checking twice. Be critical. Oh, Karen, great job. That's a great word. Critical. So you're looking at what you're going to post with a very sharp eye. You're going to look through it and see like, okay, now if I was my boss and I was looking at this, what would they think, right? What would they want me to leave out of that post? What is something that is a little bit more, it's going to cause a bigger reaction in someone that I'm intending, right? So you really want to be careful. This is being critical, being very careful with what we post, because we don't have those things like body language, right? We can't have facial expressions when we post this. Emojis can help, but sometimes, like, there's a whole emoji culture of a wink might be sarcastic. A wink might be like, I'm kidding, but I'm not, you know, of like, this is a really important part of doing kind of a second read of your post before posting. Okay, we're on step 5 here, be you. Okay, so being authentic is really important. You see this a lot with YouTube, right, as a social media platform, of people want their YouTube person that they're watching to be really authentic. Authentic means that you're being yourself, you're not faking who you are. And being authentic means showing an honest version of you. So that means, like in Instagram, this gets accused of a lot too, right? Of people are like, oh, you're just showing us all of the only good parts of your day. It looks so perfect in your world, when we know that's not true. They still get out of bed with messy hair, right? They still need to brush their teeth and do everything. But if they're only showing you only the very best parts of themselves, they're not being very authentic. Or if they're showing a different version of what their life is when it really isn't, that isn't being authentic or being yourself either. All right, last, ask before you post. So this is something I do with my husband too, of like, I'm gonna post this, but I really wanna make sure it says what I want it to say, right? Do you do this with a paper? You know, you would do this with a paper you're writing. You would go to maybe a writing center or your friend or your professor and say, okay, how does this sound? How does this look? Because you have one version and you can do all of these steps yourself, but it might not be what someone else is thinking, or you haven't thought about what this other person with a different, you know, history around this concept would say about this post, right? If you're going to be posting something like political, especially, or something that you know is going to be sensitive or have people who might disagree with you, make sure you're checking with someone else besides yourself, right? Okay. All right, let's move on. So LinkedIn, we're going to have Moses take over here. So he's going to describe the kind of platform of LinkedIn for you if you aren't already aware.
Got it. Well, thanks so much, Kelsey. I just wanted to maybe before we begin, Murphy, since you have your camera on, can you tell me, what do you know about LinkedIn today? Anything that comes to mind when I say LinkedIn, let me know. What do you think? You can speak it too, Murphy, if you want.
I'm a bit new to LinkedIn, so it's only job search and
Job search.
and just few others, like perhaps advice, like, well, I think that's about it, because I'm a bit new to LinkedIn, so yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it. All right. So what I heard, something professional. It's a place to search for a job. It's a place to let people know about sort of your professional experience. Maybe if you have a moment here, for those of you who are on chat, what do you think the tone is of LinkedIn? Any thoughts there? What's the tone that you should have specifically on LinkedIn?
Karen says business.
Okay. Yeah, business. What about you, Murphy? What do you think? Tone is like how you present, or the feel, the way that you do something or say something or write about something. What do you think, Murphy? Professional, Karen. I heard. Thank you, Karen.
Well, I think it's to be professional.
Yeah. So perfect. So as sort of Kelsey alluded to and talked about, is LinkedIn has a very different purpose, tone, and audience than maybe your other social media networks. So what I post on LinkedIn is very different from what I post on Facebook or Instagram, or even I would say Twitter. It's where on LinkedIn, think about it as sort of a live, living resume. It's a place where you go frequently to update your experiences, and it's a place where you can post professional work, activity, events, or announcements that you have. And I know Kelsey is going to talk a little bit about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate to be posting specifically on LinkedIn. But what I want to do with you today is I want to actually share with you my LinkedIn profile and talk to you just a little bit more about how I designed it with audience in mind, with a purpose, and with a very specific tone. So I'm going to grab this screen here and I'm going to share with you my screen here. So hopefully you can see, can everyone see my screen here? All right, great. So I just want to kind of walk you through, I moved the screen, 1 second. I moved it in front of me. So, all right. So I want to share with you, this is my LinkedIn profile. And I want to share a few quick thoughts here of how I put it together. Now, this is, as you can see, this is on the back end where I can create it. But I was very thoughtful about putting here a professional headshot. And I had a friend use a very nice camera to take a photo of myself. Now, I have a very specific type of branding that I want. And as you can see here, I'm not wearing a collared shirt. It's a little bit more, what I would like to say, entrepreneurial, because that's who I am. I'm more of an entrepreneur, an innovator. And I wanted my profile picture to represent that. And I just want to say one thought here in a question. Why do you think it's so important to pick a right headshot or even a right image on your LinkedIn profile? Why do you think that's so critical? In fact, I would say probably the most critical component of your LinkedIn profile is your headshot and perhaps the image that you choose. I'd love some thoughts here in the chat. Why is the image, the profile picture, so important? Any thoughts here from our audience? Feel free to share out loud or on the chat. I'll wait here for a minute. Why is it so important that your image, visual acceptance kind of thing? Yeah, Karen. You know, when you first meet someone, you see them, right? You see how someone is dressed. You see a personality. People often say an image speaks 1,000 words. An image speaks 1,000 words. So the picture that you choose should represent the professional image that you want to portray, because it's what people see first. It's their first impression. So again, I picked an image that is a bit more entrepreneurial, less formal, and has me smiling because I want to be someone who is approachable. And I also picked an image in the back of a space at the University of Michigan that is very innovative. It's a creative zone. It's a design lab where people come up with new ideas, use Post-it notes. It's a very open space where it's a lab space where people can create. And that's who I am. I'm an entrepreneur, an innovator. And I put on here my headline is my purpose, at least my professional purpose, is I want to empower international employees and students to succeed. I'm also the leader of the Michigan Language Center, the co-founder of a tech company called Celio, a faculty member at the University of Michigan, and I love coffee. So I put a little bit of personality here in my profile, in my headline, because my main purpose here is I want people to be drawn into my profile, and I want them to want to talk to me a little bit more. In fact, just a little note on my comment on coffee enthusiasts, this has actually allowed me to have many new connections on LinkedIn. And people have actually noted to me the reason that I've connected with you or wanted to talk with you is because you said you're a coffee enthusiast. Now, again, the way I portray myself here is very different from my Facebook page or my LinkedIn, my Instagram page. On my Facebook page, you'll often see, if you went to it, a picture of me and my family. I post photos of my kids, me doing social activities with my family. I don't really post as much about my professional life. But here, I often talk and promote and share about the activity I'm doing in either the tech, entrepreneur, or the international student industry. So I just want to show you just a few other things here. On here, I write about myself, and I write about my purpose, empowering students to change the world. And I talk about my experience in that. And I say, if you'd like to partner with me, please feel free to do so. And then I put a bunch of photos here of me in my professional workspace. So as you can see, I'm not as formal. I'm very innovative. I want to present myself as someone that's approachable, very sort of innovative. And these are pictures of me at the University of Michigan speaking. I didn't take them, but someone else did. And then I have, again, my experience at the University of Michigan, at the Michigan Language Center, and a number of the entrepreneurial projects that I work on. Now, that's my profile, and I'm very thoughtful about it because I want to use my LinkedIn. I'm not necessarily looking to get a job, but I want to build my network, connect with other professionals in my industry so that we can collaborate. And that's actually one of the reasons that I'm working with Kelsey. She works at Concordia University, and I work at the Michigan Language Center. And we've been able to foster a connection professionally. And I've definitely used LinkedIn in relationship with Kelsey to promote sort of the work that we do. Now I want to bring it over to Kelsey's profile. Maybe she can give you an example of how she built her profile a little bit. Go for it, Kelsey.
All right, can you hear me? All right. So I do see that Erin joined us. She was able to jump on. So welcome, Erin. We'll pop right over to you. But yes, I agree. The photo is so important for your professional life. And I think about this as like who I'm talking to, right? And where I am. So for Facebook, I think of like I'm at my home and my family's over and we're just talking about everything, right? For LinkedIn, I feel like I'm at work, right? It's an extension of how I show myself at work. So this is where people connect with me when they're interested in studying at Concordia. I've had parents who spend a lot of their day on LinkedIn because they are professionals, and they reach out to me on LinkedIn because they want more information about how their student can join us. So we communicate on LinkedIn. Or I know we have some students who are international students who are on LinkedIn who may be looking to go back to school, right? So being able to show them that there is an option for them to, in their working lives, come back to school for perhaps a master's degree, that's how I can connect with them and partner with them. But you can see here, my profile photo is similar to Moses, where I am smiling. I'm wearing a more official looking outfit, right? My hair is combed. I look like I can handle myself in a business setting. So that's your first impression, right? Especially we know with as we move more into a virtual world, making sure that our virtual first impression is a good one is so important. So I also had someone take a really nice camera and found a cool spot to take a photo. So this could be something where you talk to a friend who has a nice camera, or phones today are having really great cameras. So it can be kind of a time for you and a friend to say, all right, we're gonna dress up all professionally, and we're gonna go take a photo. My background photo here you can see is our Concordia, Wisconsin campus. And that is because it's beautiful. It has gorgeous views. I want that to be a key, a hook into someone to say, wow, I would love to study there. Let me talk to Kelsey to see how I can start that process, or if they have a program I might be interested in, or maybe just to follow me to see what cool events I might have. Because man, I would love to go to that campus and just go to an event that they're having. So this is all something I'm conveying, that I'm telling people without ever having to talk to them, right? If you scroll down, you can see kind of my history. The about is pretty simple, but you can see this activity here where I posted about with Michigan Language Center, this event that you're at right now. So I made sure to share that with my audience of, hey, we have this cool thing happening. Feel free to join us. We'd really love to have you. All right, so Moses, if you want to take us back over, then you can see my work history, right? It's a living resume. It's something I'm always adding to. There is, yeah, okay, wonderful, getting us back. Having some technical difficulties ourselves, huh? Okay, maybe if I just kind of, oh, I can't share my screen either, Moses. Nor can I hear you. You're on mute.
Can you see your page?
Yes.
Now? Okay.
Yes.
This is your history.
Yes. Okay. So you can see my work history here. I've been at Concordia for just over a year now. You can see all the things I'm working on. And then if you scroll down a little more, I worked at Central Boarding Academy, which helped international high school students. And you can see all the way down there, social media specialist. I worked in health insurance for a little bit, worked with tutoring students. So you can see a great history there. And it's also where you can like link out to other things. So I linked, for instance, you could see a portion of my writing sample there for when I was in graduate school as well. So keep in mind when you're posting to LinkedIn too, that these are areas where you can make a big impact, but you have to be very careful about what you post, right? Because this could be a future employer looking at your profile. Do you want them to see pictures of your kids? Maybe not. Maybe that's not something you talk about every day at work or in an interview, right? That's not something you bring up and talk about for a long time. It might be something you mention, but not something you're going to spend your whole time talking about. Instead, you're going to be talking about why you're good for that job, the experiences you've had, things like that. Definitely. Okay, can we bounce back to that presentation now? So that we can have Erin, who's joining us from her vehicle.
So Kelsey, I think you can control it now.
Okay.
You can bring it back to your screen.
There we go. Yes. So let me bounce back. All right. So Erin, can you unmute yourself? Can we hear you?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. All right.
Okay. So just so I can sort of acquaint myself, how many guests do we have on the call?
So right now we have 1, 2, 3,
6.
Okay, perfect. So let's look at this LinkedIn post together, and you can see that it was a gentleman who posted a picture of his daughter and wife on LinkedIn. So given what Moses and Kelsey just shared regarding the purpose of LinkedIn and the type of information that you want to post on that platform, what might be a little off with this posting? And if you could just unmute yourself, that would be great.
And just to, in case you can't read that very quickly, the post was, so my eldest daughter, blurred name, turned 16 in May this year, and upon immediate receipt of her national insurance card, she set about job hunting for a Saturday and Sunday job around her studies. Blurred name, secured 3 interviews for 3 different jobs: cleaning in a security firm office, working in a beauty salon, and telesales in a local call center. Following her interviews, Blur successfully secured an offer of employment from all 3. It came as no surprise to me she chose the telesales in a call center. The apple never falls far from the tree. I couldn't be prouder of my little career woman.
So I saw a few comments pop up and that it was too personal. Most definitely. What might be a better platform to post this on? What might be a better social media outlet to post this on? You can just type it in the chat box. Facebook, very good. Good, honey. All right, Kelsey, could we move to the next?
Yeah, so here we have right below it, you can comment on LinkedIn too, right? So there are 2 people here who commented. So we have commenter 1 says, very, very wrong and bad idea. Act like a wise mom. Don't use the excuse of being proud of your daughter to show yourself off. Control your behavior and act wise. If not anything else, do it for her. She will appreciate. That's an interesting comment, right? So what about that comment there would be perhaps a little inappropriate for LinkedIn? Murphy says Twitter. Twitter might be a better place for something like this. Okay. Yeah, Twitter's a little more casual, right? It's a little more of the moment. But keep in mind with your comments too, other people can see those. Those are public. So if someone is criticizing someone in such a personal way and maybe wasn't intended, is that something you want to do publicly? Or is that maybe something better for a personal message that you disagree with them in such a personal way? I would perhaps send that a little more nicely, right? That was being nice is one of our social media etiquette. All right, commenter B there. I am not a part of your network. I saw this post in my feed, and from it, I got your daughter's age, her name, your city, and the fact that she is working in a particular industry. Just saying, this information is getting out to a broader network of people. Just want to relay this back to you. Congratulations on your job from Toronto, Canada. All right, passing the mic back over to Erin.
Yeah, so what, again, based on what commenter B said, why else might this post, the original post, be a little problematic? Remember, the daughter is only 16 years old, and now from her mom sharing this information, she's sort of exposed, right? So again, you just have to be very careful about what you post on social media, especially if you're posting information about a minor or someone under the age of 18. Okay. Kelsey, could we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so I got fired 3 months after buying my first house. I was scared and ashamed to tell my family. I was an unemployed dropout. My wife was a student. We were desperate. We kept breathing. Success comes from the times you keep breathing. And this was a LinkedIn posting. Why could this post perhaps be damaging or damage a person's personal brand? You can just go ahead and either unmute yourself or type it in the, it's embarrassing. Okay. Anyone else?
Maybe because if you are that desperate, you might accept just any job you can be offered at, and that might not be good with your job history kind of thing.
Okay, that's a very good point. It's not so much the fact that he was unemployed, right? A lot of times people lose their jobs, and it may not always be because that person didn't work hard or didn't try. There may have been other circumstances, but I think the fact that he does sound maybe desperate, or the words he uses, I was scared, I was ashamed, we were desperate, those words can maybe turn an audience off and not make them want to continue reading. So this is really an issue of understanding audience and how to use words better to be more effective in sharing his story. So, success comes from the times you keep breathing. That's a very beautiful statement. I wonder if maybe he could use more calming or a more serious type of words throughout that post. Okay.
I would say too, I'm questioning this man's character, right?
Yes.
If he's ashamed to tell his family something, I don't know if I want him working in my company. And also just saying, like, we kept breathing. Success comes from the times you keep breathing. Is that where success comes? I don't know. That doesn't give me a lot of how-tos of step 1, step 2 of how to, find a new job, right? So it's just a lot of like airiness and not a lot of like what I would want as an employer of here's what I did to get a new job, right?
All right. So did anyone bring a post with them today? If not, it's perfectly fine. We can move to the next slide. One thing that I really want you to think about, and maybe this could be your homework, is to go through all your social media platforms. So Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and if you notice anything off, so, maybe you didn't focus on your audience, or maybe, the purpose in your message wasn't clear, go back and clean up some of those posts, especially on LinkedIn, because future employers, even some universities, will search your social media platforms because they're looking, like Kelsey said, they're looking for someone with good character. So if you have posts that maybe are a little bit questionable, or maybe aren't effectively communicating with your audience, clean them up, okay? And then after you do that, Google search yourself. So just type your name in the search bar, right? Erin Laverick, click what comes up. Well, I hope what comes up is, maybe some articles that I've published, or maybe some, blogs that the university has written where I mentioned, good things that make me look like a caring educator, a professional writer. If you come across my Facebook page, you're going to see pictures of my children, most of them, like hugging me or playing outside, or, how I want to be perceived. And hopefully that's how I am perceived. I don't want to come across as fake, but I do want to make sure that regardless of the form or that platform of social media, that I brand myself as a good person who's thoughtful and, builds a brand to gain respect from others. So whether that be my students, their parents, colleagues, that's what's really important when we use social media. So I highly recommend Google searching yourself and just seeing what you learn, what pops up. And that will give you a really clear picture about who you are, what your brand is on social media, and how you might want to revise it or make it even better. Like keep building that brand so that more and more people notice you.
Definitely. Finding your social media brand and who you are and what's authentic to you, what's the real you, and what you want to put on social media takes some time. It takes some work, some experimenting, you know, try some stuff out, see what people comment, see what gets attention from people. It's a way for you to expand who you are and how people know you. It's a really big deal. If you want to get in touch with us, we would be happy to kind of have another conversation about this. Or if you're interested in school at Concordia University Ann Arbor, I would be happy to help you with that. So at Concordia University Ann Arbor, there is no fee to apply. So if you go to apply, CUAA.cuw.edu, you can go in and apply for Concordia University Ann Arbor. We don't require an ACT or an SAT score, so congratulations there, one less test. English scores, if you are from a country that does not have an English curriculum or a British curriculum, we do need to see English scores so that we can make sure you are going to be successful when you are at university. So we have those English test scores there. Those are our minimums. But you can also work with Michigan Language Center, with Moses, to do a virtual English pathway program. So you can take English classes with Moses and then move into academic classes at Concordia University Ann Arbor. So University Ann Arbor is really great if you want to live in the #1 college town in the United States, but at a small school, so you get a really personal touch. That's our brand at Concordia University Ann Arbor, of excellence, but personal touch. Our most popular majors right there that you might be interested in, if you're interested in social media, we have digital media design, which has a concentration in social media. So if you want to dig deeper and help companies develop their personal social media brand, that could be something that's really interesting for you. And also is something that is becoming more needed in the workforce, right? Especially during COVID, right? The virtual world is our new primary world as we move forward with COVID. We also have business, computer science, and nursing. Those are really popular programs, but we have others as well. So if you would like to get in touch with me specifically, you can see my contact information there. Feel free to add me on WhatsApp. I look forward to talking with you. We also have Michigan Language Center there. Moses, did you want to say last few words?
Absolutely. Well, for those of you who don't want to take TOEFL or IELTS or just looking to improve your English and communication skills, we have many different courses that are available for you. We do offer a free English assessment. So I will send out some information afterward. If you'd like to do that, it's all complimentary, meaning free. You can meet with one of our advisors who will give you an assessment of your speaking, listening, writing, reading skills. So look forward to connect with you.
Yeah, and Erin has also said that she was okay with you guys emailing her too. If you want to, I suggest checking out Concordia International Center's social media. So if you find Concordia International Center, also Michigan Language Center has social media as well. So follow us both, see how our brands are a little different, how our tones are a little different on there as well. All right, guys. Well, we have had such a great time with you. Thank you so much for joining. Good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. And we look forward to talking to you. We'll stay on a little longer too if anybody has any questions. But thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone. If anyone has any questions, we'll stick around.
I'll keep the contact up there. Oh, you're welcome, honey. It was so good having you. Thank you. You're welcome, Murphy. Look at this. We have such polite audience here. That's exactly what we need in our social media, right?
Murphy, what are you looking to transfer into? What kind of program?
There's crime and justice.
Crime and justice.
Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. Yes. The Concordia Ann Arbor has criminal justice and public policy. Wanted to make sure I had that correct. So if you'd like to talk more about criminal justice and public policy, I'd be happy to set up a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah? Okay. I'll send you an email, okay?
Okay, sure.
All right. Okay.
Hi, I do have a question. I'm sorry I couldn't be in the first session where you talk about the other social media apps. I don't know the name of those ones.
Yeah.
But I am not a super fan of having my life post everywhere. So I only have Facebook, and years ago I opened a LinkedIn, which I haven't checked in the last 7 years, maybe.
Sure.
But since COVID and the whole thing, and because I might switch a little bit of career, so kind of do something different now, I think that is a good idea to do. But I'm still a little bit hesitant of putting my whole life there, especially when you're changing things. So for example, if I move from, I don't know, health sciences to business, or now that I'm a teacher, and if I want to go back to business, wouldn't it be like too unstable look if I put all the things I have done so far?
That's a great question, Karen. Thank you so much for asking. And no worries about not joining the first one. We know lives are busy, right? So let me take it in two parts here. You said one part was you don't want to overshare. And that is so good of you to be aware that that is possible. It seems like nowadays people just put everything out there, right? To a point where it's uncomfortable, right? To see someone where you're like, that is probably something that should be private, right? Not public. So keep in mind which platforms you're using and how much you're sharing. That's really key. If it's something that you're gonna, say like, this is really iffy. I don't know if I want to share this. If you're feeling any sort of uncomfortableness, don't share. That's fine. Or if it's something you're like, I want to, but I'm not sure, give it 24 hours. See if after 24 hours you're thinking, yeah, no, I still think that's a good idea. Take some time. You don't have to post right away, right? It's up to you. You're in control of what you post. And then in terms of LinkedIn, of showing your work history, that's a really great question. I think it's all about in how you phrase it, what tone you're using, right? What words you're saying. If you are going to be jumping into different careers, that is something that's becoming more and more normal. So as you work in your field, you're going to find other people who they haven't been in business their entire lives, or they might have been in the health professions their entire lives. People change their minds. And that shows your humanity, right? That you try different things, you're curious. So in how you use that, how you phrase that on your LinkedIn profile is going to be important, though. You don't want to show that you're flighty. It's a very delicate balance that you're trying to strike. Also, it'll give you, as you're going into different jobs, it'll show that you are capable of working in different fields, that you have experience and knowledge that someone who's only worked in healthcare isn't going to have, right? That's something that's kind of changing as we move forward in the 21st century. People change different careers in completely different fields. You saw from my profile, I worked in sales, and now I'm working in higher education. So I have changed, and it's all in how you phrase that, right? So I could talk to my employer, Concordia, that I have experience working with health insurance. And usually people hate health insurance in the US, right? So if I can take that off someone's plate, and take on health insurance, that's something they don't have to worry about anymore. Does that help?
Yes, thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Hey, Karen, just maybe one quick comment on that. And to that point, I just want to say, I have found that some people, if they can't find anything about you online, it's actually very negatively perceived about you, that you actually don't know how to manage and you don't share anything, or are you even a real person?
Yeah.
If you don't
Are
have
you
anything
a bot?
on your
Yeah.
life. Yes. So I think obviously you don't want to share so much, but if you share very little and have nothing about you online that I can find, it's also negative.
Right. That is a key too to me of like, if somebody adds me on a social media platform, I check them out if I don't know them immediately. If they are following 1 billion people and they only have like 2 or 3 followers, right? I'm like, that is probably someone who is, what is the word? Phishing. So trying to get a lot of followers, but never posting anything. That's a little creepy, right? If you're having someone who's just watching all the time, but never contributing, it's a little, ooh, spooky.
Just maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
And Chung, to your message, we will send out a recording. Yeah.
Yep.
So keep an eye on your email.
Oh, on that note, do you think I can have the first session then, please?
It already is. If you go on Concordia International Center's YouTube channel, because we do have one of those, the recording is posted there. If you give me 1 second.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I will post it our YouTube channel to the chat so you guys can follow. How many of you guys have a YouTube channel? Nobody? Okay. How many of you guys watch YouTube? I do, for sure. Yes. No channel. I do, yeah. Honey, you have a YouTube channel?
Well, we will send some follow-up information, and I know our contact information is available. So please let us know if you have any questions.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Feel free to, again, WhatsApp me or email. That is perfectly fine. Murphy, I look forward to talking about criminal justice with you.
Okay. Sure.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your day. All right.
See you, everyone. Be in touch.